Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome to a video here with something a little bit different, and that is the Figma Berserk Skull Knight figure. Skull Knight? I'm pretty sure that's the name actually. But yeah, so if you've been following the channel for a bit, you would know I've been collecting the SH Figure Arts Berserk line. Now, obviously Figma started doing Berserk way back in the day. They had quite a few releases from the earlier part of the series, and there hasn't been anything new from them for a long time. And then Tamashi Nations jumped in with their Figure Arts line, which started off a little bit rough. They're really nice looking, not the most articulated or fun to play with in some ways, but from there they just really shot up and kept improving. Their releases now, to be honest, probably my favourite from Tamashi Nations. Now, they haven't done Skull Knight yet at all, no teaser or anything like that, so whether or not they're going to do them or not, that's still up in the air. But this guy was announced, I think it was probably about 1 year ago. The lead time for Figma is definitely a bit longer than the Figure Arts, and in this case it comes in a normal version, which is just for Skull Knight, and then there is the DX version. In this case 634 is the numbering for this release, and then DX is for the, is it Deluxe maybe? But it is the edition that comes with the horse, and that is what really caught my attention when this was announced, because yeah, the promo photos look beautiful. I didn't pre-order it. I was really on the fence. I was kind of, part of me was like, oh, I'm collecting the Figure Arts, surely they will be doing a release, right? But I was still really kind of tempted to pick it up, but again, I didn't pre-order. And actually forgot about, I think a lot of people have completely forgotten about this release, right? Figma doesn't really hype up their release or anything like that. They just kind of come out. So if you're following, you'll be aware. If not, you kind of have no idea, right? But anyway, it dropped earlier this week, or last weekend I believe. And haven't really seen anything about it. One or two Japan, no Twitter posts or a figure site posts about it. But I was talking to 86. He actually asked me if I got it. I said no, I didn't. And at the same time, a few guys on the Dreamboard Figure Arts Discord talk about other figures too, linked photos for this guy, and we're talking about it. I was like, man, really tempted to get it. Had a look, and most places sold out in Japan, though surprisingly Amazon had a bunch in stock, and even AmiAmi Japan. So I was kind of tempted. I was really on the fence. I was back and forth talking with 86 as well, and he said it's not like a Figma at all, and that got me really curious. And I really want that horse. I keep going back and forth, and a few more photos were posted on Discord. I was like, oh, should I get it? I've been watching Amazon, and the number remaining stock keep going down. There's like one left. I was like, okay, click. So I ordered it. I think it was like Tuesday night, and yeah, it arrived. Oh no, Monday night it must have been, or Monday afternoon. So a day and a half later, it is here on my doorstep, or in this case now on my desk, in front of you all for a opening and review. I had one quick look earlier today. I gotta say, it definitely does not feel like a Figma release at all. To be fair though, I don't really collect Figma. I've got Shaman King ones, I've got a couple of old Railgun Figma, and the last one I got was actually Nanami from Jujutsu Kaisen, who was so bad I've basically gave up on Figma. That's not to say they're all bad. I think it really just comes down to who is the sculptor who makes it, because they kind of vary quite a bit. But yeah, after hearing the thoughts on this one being quite different to a normal Figma release, kind of decided, you know, even if Figure Arts does one, I still want it just because they're horse, because obviously the original Griffith release for Figure Arts line came with a horse as well, but it's not articulated. That was my biggest letdown disappointment with this release. So I feel like even if Figure Arts does with Skull Knight, we're going to get a non-articulated horse. So yeah, that was the main reason why I did pick up this figure. But yeah, check out what it comes with. Actually, we already saw the box. Really cool slip cover. Love that. Lovely design for the box. And on the inside here, Skull Knight package with a horse. We've got this shield, the sword, and the sword with the effect, and that effect is really cool. And then holding a row, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, was it the what are they called? That beheart, anyway, we'll have a closer look at it in a moment. The old Figma baggie for the accessories, because the extra hands are on their peg system, and then we also have a stand at the back, a real nice big chunky one, obviously to hold up the horse, and I assume maybe there's different attachments there for the Skull Knight himself. And actually we've got a novel with this release explaining, check it out, all the way, there it goes, the ways you're meant to attach him. Oh, it looks like he's got a peg into his butt actually to attach to a saddle. That's kind of interesting. So yeah, actually this is really cool. It actually highlights the inside of the joint, so I guess you know which way you can twist and pivot and turn. I think that's a really good idea. So there are sometimes when you get a figure, you're like, can it turn this way? Is it meant to turn? You kind of move, so you try and force it, so you don't know if it's stiff or if you're fighting against the joint. So I think this is a very good idea. I think Tamashii should definitely do something like that for some of their figures. But yeah, no, this is actually a really good and really detailed breakdown for the instruction manual with English and Japanese on either side. So that is really cool. Let me put that off to the side. And what I will do, I might do a slightly different from a normal review. Mainly just highlighting the overall aesthetic, and maybe check them into a couple of poses and then just have a little bit chat about them. Since I don't really buy many Figma figures, I feel it's a bit hard for me to really compare this to other releases, at least with figure arts. Since there's so many different lines and figures for the ones I collect, I have a quite good understanding of what is good or something that's really bad, or if it could have been better for those figures. So I won't really dive into too much of that for the Figma one, since it isn't really an area that I'm that familiar with. But just in terms of overall, if it's a badass figure or not, that side I would definitely jump into, because I think it's looking pretty damn cool. But anyway, let's pop them out of the packaging so we can check them out on the turntable and get a close look at the overall aesthetic finish for this figure. Dude, check this guy out. Okay, I gotta say, the detail is pretty insane on the armor. All of the weathering detail, little bit scratches, marks, dents here. All of the armor, it really looks like it's been metal, it's been pounded out. Same with the armor on the horse, coming all the way down through. The sculpting of the horse is awesome. I love the tail. This is all cloth material, it's quite tatty. It doesn't look... I don't know, cloth goods is always a hard thing, right? I think I gotta say the cloth goods on the Figure Arts Guts one, I really like. It definitely has a bit more of a nice tatter to it and texture, whereas this is just like a straight black material. But at least it definitely is thin. It looks nice at least. I think maybe once it's been out of packaging for a little bit, you'll kind of lose some of that maybe hard crease or folds in there, so give it a bit of time to kind of get a bit more of a natural drape. It will be quite nice. The reins as well has a wee wire in there, which is quite good. Yeah, the eyes look really cool too actually. I'm not sure if it'll come through easy, but I do have a light here. Maybe it's a bit bright, but just in case I would kind of go over to hopefully show a little bit more of a detail on the armor. It definitely seems like this is a rubber or a soft plastic, so it will bend and flex out of the way. But you can see all the cool sculpting on the arm, all the spikes coming up is really nice. And then the red eyes on both the horse and the Skull Knight is pretty damn evil looking. I love that, especially when the light kind of hits it in just the right way. Yeah, that is so cool. But yeah, anyway, I've got to say, aesthetically speaking, they've nailed it. Only thing, yeah, let me know what you think about the cloth material on this figure so far. Definitely is really thin, which is nice, and we do have a wire on the outside of the cape on the Skull Knight, which is pretty cool. To be honest, the pose is probably not the best bit lame there, but I kind of wanted to have him a bit spread out so you can see in and around the different parts of his armor and to hold up the cape. But yeah, hopefully it gives you a good idea of what he is, at least aesthetically speaking, what he is all about. So yeah, let me pop him off a turntable so we can have a look at the articulation points. Because yeah, definitely even in hand so far, he doesn't feel like a Figma figure that I've felt before, which to be fair, it's quite limited. But even that's what 86 was telling me as well. So yeah, actually one of the guys on the Discord mentioned that I think the designer for this guy did worked on Mythics figures before, which is probably why it is quite a bit different to your usual or your standard Figma release. So yeah, starting with the head, do be careful all the different spikes around here. It feels solid though, but I wouldn't put too much pressure on there. But the head itself, look down okay, can kind of look up, a little bit more limited there. But we can get some nice angle motion going on, and you can swivel and look left to right. Definitely is a little bit fiddly, so do be a bit careful with those spikes. But beyond that, surprisingly not a bad range of motion. I think the only limiting factor is when he tries to look back. Now for the shoulder pads here, if you've got some of the Dreamwall figures, it's kind of similar where it's held on by a single peg joint at the back. At least for me, I feel the left one here moves a little bit more, I guess, a bit more freely compared to the right shoulder, but it could be something that will loosen up a little bit over time. It appears that the cape is firmly attached underneath the shoulder pads, so when you move this up, the cape will move as well. And as we saw, this does have a wire in there. It is a flat or a round wire, so it kind of moves, I don't know, it's not bad. Okay, it's kind of poking through down there, so do be a little bit careful. I gotta say the cape done on the Figure Arts Berserk line so far is definitely, I'd say it's a higher quality standard, so far at least. But yeah, let's continue on with the articulation. Now when it comes to the shoulder here, it is actually like a butterfly joint, double jointed, so it'll come out to about this point, and then you can combine with the other ball joint there, kind of bend it around, but it is a little bit more limited compared to some figures. You can twist about so. Let me try and get this one. Yeah, but generally speaking, well, it does have a butterfly joint, it is a little bit more limited compared to the usual ones I'm used on the Figure Arts, but for some reason I feel like the left side of this figure moves a little bit more freely and I get a little bit more range. Again, could be just you have to play with it a bit more and loosen it up. I did only just get it today, so I haven't really, this is the first time actually really playing or posing the figure, so it could be one of those ones that will loosen up a little bit more over time. But yeah, a little bit fiddly, yeah, but I think this is probably about the natural range of motion overall. But yeah, we also get the upper bicep swivel, and then the elbow range is really good, double jointed, swings all the way up and around, even with the armor there, works really good. I think this is one of the parts that stuck out to me as being quite different to normal Figma joint. I feel like this joint kind of reminded me of kind of a Hasbro-esque style, or maybe a bit more in lines with, say, Mythics, maybe even Storm. Nah, haven't looked at one close up in a long time, so maybe a bit off there. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think this elbow joint reminds you of, right? Which type of figure line, because it definitely doesn't seem like a standard Figma joint. Then moving over to the wrist, we have this fully hard sculpted arm on the outside, but the hand moves freely, but the hand isn't actually attached to it, so you can move this up and down on its peg, which actually gives it a really big range of motion. I was actually really surprised at this, and it feels really nice to move on that joint as well. Now when I took it out of the box, one thing that did also take me by surprise was the torso chest range of articulation, which feels really nice and fluid. So we've got the upper area here, which is all one solid piece, but you've got the inner armor and then the lower part just above the hips, and you get a nice range of fluid left and right motion there. Going back about 10 or so mil of range, and then going forward about maybe 15-20 mil. So for a figure that has a large chunky arm and one solid piece, he actually has a decent range of motion, which is actually pretty fluid overall. And then aesthetically speaking, just, everything there looks so nice, right? I love the armor. But yeah, and then continuing on with armor down to the legs and above the hip, leg or thigh area, we do have the arm here, which is, I wouldn't say it's floating, it kind of is, but it is quite a firm place that I probably wouldn't want to push or stretch it too much, as I think maybe you could risk breaking it perhaps. But then underneath we do have some extra material as well, which matches the same type of material as the cape. So at least that part there blends in and works pretty well. It's not really contrasting or jarring or any way there. Now for the legs itself underneath, we do get the upper thigh swivel. We don't really seem to get much of a split range there, but it might just be a bit stiff since I haven't played with it at all. I'm not sure I normally, yeah, there we go, it's moving a little bit better now. So it is on the ball joint in there. I think actually if we have a look at the instruction, I think it showed how the joint should move. Yeah, so as we saw here, these are, I guess, the joints. So it is on 2 ball in there, so it should be able to pivot up and down and around on that 1 joint. I think it's just something that you might need to play around with a little bit, try and get moving a bit more. I don't want to push it too hard right now, but at least that much he can move out. Going back is actually pretty decent, and then going forward a little bit fiddly. How does it go? There we go. Yeah, the arm will move up, so maybe not quite 45 degrees, but overall I think decent range of motion. At least from memory of a monkey, it's not really a character that is quite agile, I guess. I think it again suits with the armor look on the horse, but more static pose. So I think, at least from what I want out of a figure, it is very serviceable, but I can definitely see where some people may want a bit more range of articulation there. Something more in line with, like, say, the Berserk armor guts, right? But yeah, anyway, moving down to the knee. And then here, we have a fantastic range of motion. He can look, he can bend it all the way up and around, double jointed, flows pretty well. The plastic though, it does kind of cut off there, and it is definitely a different grey to the rest of the armour, and it is kind of shiny, so it does stick out quite a bit more compared to the rest of the armour. But again, depending on the angle, it's not too bad. You can have the knee armour kind of covering up the main or the majority of the area that is showing. But yeah, I think, posing wise, it should maybe toy photography may need to play around a little bit more. Now for the ankle here, actually, yeah, not bad. It's pretty standard motion there, and pivot up and down on the single peg, and then the toe tip range as well. So yeah, overall pretty straightforward and standard range motion for the foot, I would say. But yeah, overall for a armoured figure, I would say the articulation range is actually above average. Actually, it feels really nice and fluid as well. The only part is I feel like the hips feel a little bit stiff on mine at the moment. I'm not sure if it's going to be every copy, but it's definitely nothing too major there. And then obviously the right shoulder, a little bit more limited range compared to the left, but I think that's something that may loosen up over time the more that you play with the figure. But if you have this one, or if you pick up the figure, let me know how yours is as well, if it feels like it has the kind of similar range of motion for each of those joints. Alright, so it's time to set it up and ride off to hell. Yeah, his horse. This is really, really cool. We've already checked out the aesthetic look on it, so I'll just jump straight into the articulation. Maybe slightly less articulated than I thought. We get the main point of articulation on the head here, which can look up and down, which is really cool. Look at that, straight and down, really nice, feels really fluid. And then you also get the base of the neck, which you can look down and look up and around as well. You do get a little bit of a twist motion there. Personally, I was kind of expecting some more points of articulation throughout the neck. The fact that he doesn't have it, I don't think is a big issue either, because the 2 points we have does kind of give you most of the natural horse I guess positions or range articulation that you would expect. I think it's just because the kind of design of an when I think about like the SH Monster Arts tails, I was kind of expecting to be a little bit more like that in terms of articulation. And then same for some of the armor parts. I was kind of expecting some of these to kind of move out of the way, but they are in a fixed position. I think the saddle comes off like so, I think, so you can easily attach it to the underside of a Skull Knight, and then you can attach it on. And then you also have the spurs here, which is on a cloth material and attached over some pegs. If you have any of the other Figma horses, I think it is essentially the same design as those. I do have a Figma horse, but I don't have access to it at the moment, so I unfortunately can't give you a size comparison, but I did see a photo online where this horse does appear to be slightly bigger. I think it may be also partly due to the bulk of the armour, and I think it's more, the neck is a lot bigger. It's a bit more of a demonical look to it, I'd say. But yeah, continuing on with the articulation. The tail is also on a single peg joint in the back, which gives it a nice fluid range of motion, up and down, swivel, any which way that you probably want to go. Then for the legs itself, I'm going to move this out of the way. It's like, I'd say it's just the same as a normal Figma horse. We got the upper thigh point of articulation, we can move up and down like so, a little bit of pivot. Then you got the knee joint there, and then the ankle as well. And exactly the same for the front legs. So again, very similar to that of a normal Figma horse. Yeah, really cool. I love the fact that these are articulated, right? Really cool, and definitely, I think one of the main reasons why you might want to pick up this particular figure at least. So yeah, I think it's got to be one of my coolest figures. So this is, okay, pretty delicate, I will say that. The weapon here, the blue effect one, which has the sweaty part, I don't know if I broke it or if it's meant to come off, but we're trying to get on. It does say it is delicate, but this part here I did kind of knock off, but it does slot back in, so where it does attach. So if I did break it, I could put a little bit of glue, I'll fix it up, or just leave it like this, makes it a little bit easier. It's just a little bit more delicate. But coming back to the other accessories, we do get a few other hands here, the full-on spread one, some additional gripping ones as well. Now, I'm not 100% sure here. So it came with one hand already attached to the hilt, so you pop the blade off the other hilt. So I've actually got the baggy at the moment. And I can probably show off the other sword here, which doesn't have the other full-on effect. It will attach and detach like so. So you don't necessarily need to use the other hands, which are kind of like what you normally use for gripping onto weapons, so a little bit odd. I don't really see anything else here, so if anyone else has any idea for a good use for those ones, let me know. But I do gotta say, this other weapon looks really cool. Again, it's got the vine coming off, just not the fully wrapped around one or powered up sword, but definitely really cool. I love the blue one though, personally. Actually, now speaking about the shield, that's really cool. It does have the rose symbol as well, which is really cool, with the thorns down the side. And you'll also notice on the horse itself, it has a and you'll also notice on the horse itself, it does have a little bit peg hole there. We do get a clear one as well here. What we can use that one for is we'll attach the horse and the shield, so we can have it on there. So if you don't want them posed holding the sword, but not sword, shield, but instead have it on the horse, you can do that. So it does come with options. And there was also a little bit small peg which pops into the underside of the Skull Knight to the saddle, so it is a bit more attached. And I am using the big stand at the moment for the horse, just to give it a little bit more stability. Now, you do not need to use it. He can easily stand up without it. But I thought it might be a little bit easier while trying to attach, at least for the first time, to use the stand. It has a massive arm, so you can angle up so you have him jumping through the air if you want and all that. And then while he's on here, obviously you can kind of pose the legs as well. It makes it a little bit easier to do those you know, 2 or 3-legged type poses. But yeah, really cool. And what I'll do, I'll get a couple of figure arts ones here for lineup, and we'll jump into the final thoughts for this release. Okay, check this lineup. Obviously we got Skull Knight in the center from Figma, and then we've got the figure arts, Griffith, Guts, Zod, and the Golden Age Guts as well. And one of my concerns when mixing and matching lines, it's one of the reasons why I generally don't buy many other figure companies, to be honest, because, well, actually a couple of reasons. A, the lines that I generally collect Figure Arts does, or they've got a monopoly for Dragon Ball, so they've only ones with that. And then for other ones, they've just been doing all the jump lines anyway, which I normally collect. So yeah, I generally don't get much opportunity to mix and match them. I kind of did with the Jujutsu Kaisen one, because there was a few figures which they did, which Figure Arts didn't. It didn't really match. It felt really out of place. I think that's the beauty of this one. This figure fits in beautifully with the Figure Arts ones, and yeah, it's very finished, right? The extreme details to the armor looks beautiful. In some ways it looks even better than the Figure Arts releases that we've had so far for Griffith, especially horse-wise. The horse is so much nicer, all the detailing in there, whereas this one's all pristine, just a base grey colour. And in fact, that this horse was not articulated at all. It feels like it has like fondant on the outside for the design. This is definitely a huge step up. But scale-wise, I think they work pretty well. This horse definitely seems slightly bigger, ever so slightly, but not to the point where they look drastically different from each other. I mean, obviously he is fully draped in armor, which would add a little bit more bulk to it as well. So yeah, overall these are looking really good together. One thing I gotta say is the cloth goods on the Figure Arts line is definitely a lot better than what we're getting with the Skull Knight. But since this one's really basic anyway, I don't think it is too much of a hindrance or a massive downside to the figure itself. But to be honest, I'm just really stoked that they blend in together. And yeah, even if Figure Arts does a Skull Knight, I feel like this one here will still fit well with the collection, especially if Nations or Tamashii Nations doesn't do the horse. If they give us the Knight, I hope they go to the extreme articulation side, so they have one for the Knight itself and articulated, whereas I can keep this bad boy on his horse. It's looking absolutely badass, like he's just jumped straight out of hell. But yeah, so pros, finish. Effects, this sword looks amazing. We get the other base sword here as well. The horse is articulated, and then articulation as well, actually really well articulated from both the shoulders. Elbows are amazing. The torso is really good considering the design in the large chunky plastic areas, and then the knees and everything else is good. It's just perhaps a little bit limited, but he can definitely get to a position that he needs to for basic standing some fighting stances, and then obviously on the horse as well. It does go a little bit more limited compared to some other figures, but to be fair, so does the original Guts release from the Berserk line. The new ones is a whole new level, won't compare it to that, because these ones is absolutely fantastic in terms of articulation. But still a lot better than I was expecting, a lot better than the other Figma figures I've had previously. I don't really have any cons actually. It is a little bit fiddly for changing the parts on it, but it doesn't necessarily feel too delicate either. As long as you take your time, you'll be fine. And the other minor con is, I guess I'll come back down to the cloth goods. I think it could be better, but to be fair, the price point, at least for me, it was like 17,000 yen. Retail price I think is like 20,000 yen or just under. Yeah, I think for what you're getting, they did a really good price point. I'm kind of surprised. I think if it was Figure Arts, it would probably have been like 25, 27k to be honest. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. I am not disappointed. So yeah, I guess I need to give a huge shout out to Yarifa on, no, is it Yarifa, anyway, and them on the Discord for keep showing me those photos and kind of being the devil on my shoulder to pick up this figure. But if anyone else is on the fence and you do happen to see him for sale still, yeah, go for it. I don't think you'll regret it. Hands down the best Figma I've ever bought, and to be fair, I've only bought 4 or 5 before, so not many, but he's definitely way above all of the rest. But yeah, that's it for this quick review and look at the Figma Skull Knight release from the Berserk series. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this figure. But yeah, drop your comments below, let me know what you think, and who else do you want from the Figma and SHF Berserk line. Let me know in the comments below. I'd be keen to see what everyone is itching to get their hands on next. But yeah, anyway, that is it for the video. So again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, cheers!